Al Kadosh, Boker, or Masechet Ketubot Daf Amud Aleph 80A1. We're just going to start on the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Tet Amud Bet 79b. The Mishnah. The Mishnah says, imagine right now you come and you're spending money on your wife's properties. Yeah? So she brings him nichsemelu. So she brought in properties. Now you're coming, you're appreciating it. You're coming, you're investing, you're fixing up, painting this, that. So what happens? If you went and you spent a lot of money, but you only ate a little bit of the fruits, right? Or you ate a little bit of the fruits, right? So he says, or kimah, you were hotzi kimah, you spent a little bit of money, but you ate a lot of fruits, right? That's what some people do. They eat a lot of the fruits. Whatever you did, you did. So whatever you spent, you spent. Whatever you ate, you ate. We don't come back and start doing calculations. 1 second. Well, you made rent this amount, but you spent this. No. We don't do that. Okay. However, though, but if you spent money and you didn't eat from the fruits at all, you swear how much did you spend on your wife's properties? You told him you take the money. Because basically, you will get all your money back, all refund. So basically, one more time. If it's that she's bringing in a property and you're spending money for renovations and all these things, or upkeeping or whatever, so therefore, as long as you're eating fruits, we don't make cheshbonot. You ate more, you ate less, you spent more, spent less, it's all the same thing. However, though, the second that it's going to be that you didn't eat at all, then you swear, and then you're going to take the money. Says the Gemara on the bottom of Ayin Tet Amud Bet, the kama kima. What are we talking about now? A little bit. What does it mean a little bit here? Amar Ravasi says, even if you ate one dried fig, but you ate it on the table and everything, not that you ate it, like a snack. You ate it sitting down at the table, like that. So then that's going to be the halakha that we're talking about, that you ate a little bit. Amar Rabbi Abba, says Rabbi Abba, the Amud Aleph, 88.1. Says Rabbi Abba, Amri Beirav, they say in the Bet Midrash, Afilu Shigra de Tamri. Even if it's going to come and you're going to eat a gush of tmarim nidochim, which means the dates which are pressed, right? If the person ate that, he lost everything. Meaning, what are we talking about? We're talking about what is the amount of food does he eat that now he loses the rights to demand compensation. Remember that obviously that there's a case here that she's getting divorced, obviously, right? And now he comes and he says, okay, but 1 second, but I spent money on your field. Right? So she tells him, yeah, but you also ate. So he says, so what's considered eating? What exactly is considered eating? Okay, that's the question. So Bayir of Bevai comes and he asks, Chutzpah de Tamrimai, what's halakha if the person ate the leftovers of the tmanim from making the beer? What's halakha? Do we consider that the fact that he ate these leftovers, the husband lost his merits to come and start demanding for compensation or not? Answers the Gemara, Teiku. What's Teiku? No. We never meet this mom. We just have a question. Eliyahu will come and answer. Right? What happens if you didn't eat it derech kavod? Which means you were eating it stam like a snack. You were running and you were eating it. Not that you sat down at the table and you started eating it. So Amar Ula says, Plika batre amorai b'marava. There's a machloket of two amorai in Eretz Yisrael. One of them says be'isar, be'ki'isar, be'chadamar be'dinar. One of them says it's the value of an isar, and one of them says it's the value of a dinar. So Amri Dayane de Pumpadita. They said the Dayanim of Pumpadita. Avad Rabbi Yehuda uvda bechavile zemorot. Do you know that Rabbi Yehuda did this case in chavile zemorot? Remember, chavile zemorot are like branches, right? They're like it's a aguda. It's like a joined together, right? A whole bunch of branches. So they came in front of him with bundles. Thank you, bundles of branches. And what happened was that he gave it to the animal, and then he divorced his wife. So because that he gave these bundles of branches to the animals, right now he cannot take any more demand compensation for what he spent on the wife's property. Okay, this is a shita of Dayane Pumpadita. Rav Yehuda letameh, now says the Gemara, Rav Yehuda is going according to his reasoning. Why? The Amar Rav Yehuda comes and he says, Achela orla shevi'it vekilayim, according to shitat Rav Yehuda, how do you make a chazakah on a piece of land? Remember, when you go and you want to make a chazakah, nowadays, it doesn't exist the chazakah. It exists what? The deed. The deed. The deed is a piece of paper, right? Where it's written who's the owner. You could come into a house and you could live there for 100 years. If I have the deed and the deed is written under my name, I could tell you after 100 years, liter out. 50 years, liter out. 20 years, liter out. Why? I'm sorry. There's a deed. piece of paper, and that piece of paper says, I'm the owner. Doesn't matter how many years you're going to be living, right, on the land. However, though, according to in the olden days, it wouldn't be like that, right? You wouldn't need to start keeping a piece of paper for 120 years. No, what would happen was that you would come into a field, and if you're going to enjoy and benefit from the field for 3 years, you made a chazakah that it's yours. Yeah, why? Because if it belonged to the other guy, he should have said something. Why didn't he say you're stealing his field? You're in his field. Now, obviously, the other guy had to be in town. There's a few different rules, obviously, but that's just making chazakah. So now Rav Yehuda comes and he says, how do you make a chazakah of eating the fruits for 3 years? Achala orla, even if he ate it as it's orla, that means he didn't actually benefit from it. He only benefited from the zemurot, right? Or shvi'it, right? That he ate it when in time that it's hefker, the kilaim, or during the time of kilaim, hare zo chazakah. It's still considered 3 years of chazakah. So Shitat Rabbi Yehuda is that eating the zemurot is considered that you're eating. So the fact that you're considered eating by eating these bundles of, so you see from here, the fact that the husband came and he took these zemurot and he gave it to his animal, he lost the rights of compensation. Okay, which obviously makes. Amar Rav Yaakov, Amar Rav Chasta, says Rav Yaakov in the name of Rav Chasta, O motzi otzaot aniseh ishto aktana. What happens if he spends money on the properties of his wife or that she's a ktana? That means, remember, ktana means that the father got her married, right? Or that the brother and mother got married, but then she could do miyun. So here it's mashma the second one, right? The brother and the mother, right? So it's like that you're putting it on somebody else's field, which means that if she does miyun afterwards, we don't say that since he ate, he lost out, but rather we give him like yored letoch sadeh chavero, and therefore he takes the shevach, the appreciation value, right, of what actually happened. What's the reasoning, right? What's the reasoning? That you went into somebody else's field and you appreciated their field if they weren't around. So says the Gemara, what's the reasoning? Avdura Rabbanan takanta, the Rabbanan made a special takana for this guy, in order that he shouldn't lose. Which means like this guy's gonna be scared. He has a girl that again, the brother and the mother obviously got her married off in order to support her and to have her. So he comes, he marries her. All of a sudden, at the age of 12, she comes and she says, I don't want you. Right? I never wanted you, I don't want you. So now Ribbono Shel Olam, what? Everything that he spent, you're going to throw it out in the garbage. So they made a special takana that in order that he shouldn't lose out. There was a woman, that there was 400 zuz that came from a certain place bechozai that she got as an inheritance. So imagine, that's like $100,000. Yeah, she inherited. Okay, nowadays $100,000 is nothing, but it was like once upon a time. So Oziel Gavra, so the husband went right to bring the money from bechozai, apik shitmia, and he took 600 zuz right on to go there. And he brought back 400 zuz. So now on the way when he's coming, yeah, he says it's right. He needed 1 zuz, so he took it from it, right, and then he divorced the woman. And he told him, even though it took 600 zuz to go there, and you only used 1 zuz, since you already used that 1 zuz, you lost out on everything. And therefore what? She keeps all the 399 zuz, and you lost out on everything. Which means, if the husband wouldn't have used that 1 zuz, so he was motzi more, and he did, so he would have kept all the money back. But now that he took that 1 zuz, he lost everything.
That's like you already lost 200. Jews don't.
Says Rabbanan to Rabbi Yami, Hanim, one of these words, only if he ate the perot of the nechasim. Hakarna kachi, but this Baal, he only ate the keren. He didn't eat the perot. The perot is something that comes from the principle. This is a principle. When he took 1 out of the 400, that's a principle. That's not the fruits. That's not the dividends. That's not the extra which is coming out. Right? Votzai. Right? And therefore it comes out that he was just motzi. Right? So says the Gemara, if so, so then it comes out that he was actually spending money and he didn't eat anything. So he has to swear how much did he spend, and then he takes some money. 2 dots. He swears how much money did he spend, and then he's going to take it. Amar Yasi says, that's as long as there's going to be a shevach, which means like this. Only if there's an appreciating value in parallel to what he spent. He can spend $1 million, and then the house is only worth $500,000 more. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's obviously, you know how it is in many times in the building societies and everything. That's what they do. They come, they put on the people, right, a fortune that they have to pay, and then they come and half the money goes to their pockets. So this, through friends, through this, through that. They do combinot in order to make money. You understand? So you can't do that. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Yasi, for what? Amar Rabbi says, if the appreciating value is going to be more than the hotzah, Notelet hotzah b'lo shvuah. So he takes the hotzah without shvuah, which means this. Let's say he invested $500,000 in the house, and the house went up to 1 million, meaning 1 million more, right? Not 500,000 more, 1 million more. So now he doesn't even have to swear. They asked him, how much did you spend? 500,000, but it went up in value 1 million. Take the 500 even without swearing. Meaning if it would have been the same, right, or more, so then again, he has to swear. He's obligated to swear. Plus, he only takes whatever went up in value. But, right, if it's going to be less, which means that he spent, let's say, 500,000, but it went up 1 million, so that means with much more appreciating value, he takes it even without swearing. So Elmaleh, Rabbi comes and he says, he could do like all these tricks. Right? Why? Because if there's going to be much more shevach, right, he's going to ask more than what he really is. If he doesn't need to swear, he only spent 500. He's going to come to you, he's going to say, I spent 700. Yeah? So Rabbi comes and he says, if the hotza'ah was more than the shevach, he only gets the hotza'ah like the shevach, and he has to swear. That's what we're talking about. That means he always has to swear in such a case. So we're going to ask the following question. What happens right now if the husband came and he put in the nifseh melu his arisin instead of himself, and they ate the pirot of the nechasim, right? Because remember, it's an aris, they get the sharecropper, so they share in the crop. So what's halacha? Do we say that when the arisim are taking the portion, it's like the portion of the baal or not? So adaita the baal nachit, is he going down on the behalf of the husband? So now, just like the husband leaves, so too they leave, right? Which means that they don't take reward at all. They don't take money. Well, maybe they're going down just because of the land, right? Which means the right? And the land is for arisim, and aris is a sharecropper, right? So why? Because if the husband would go down, right? So then basically the woman would have to go down. So the fact that the sadeh is standing for them, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. So even the woman would have put an aris over there, not only just the husband. So matkif la Rabbi Chanan. So ask Rabbi Chanan, if right now, imagine right now you have a field, and I realize that you're not planting your field. You're too busy. You're there. So what do? I go into your field and I plant your field, and all of a sudden, right, it starts growing. It starts making money. So what happens? I'm going to come and I'm going to evaluate the hotzaot that you did, and how much did it appreciate? But you take the least. Meaning, even if you spend 500,000 and it only produced 200,000, you only get 200,000. If whichever one it is, you always get the least of the amount. Why do you only get the least of the amount? Because at the end of the day, who asked you? Nobody asked you. So the fact that you're doing it, you did me a favor, very good. But you always have the lower hand, because since you were my messenger to do it, so you always have the lower hand. No, he didn't hire him. He did it on his own. He did it on his own. Yeah. Yes. So says the Gemara. So hatam over there, a person is not going to be toreach, which means you're red, right? If he's not going to actually come and get something from it. Hacha here, sometimes the husband does work on the field of his wife, and he's not really taking anything really, which means that in a normal field, if I'm never going to go to my friend's field and start appreciating his field for no reason. But for a person's wife, you would do that, right? So it's a little bit different. So says the Gemara, "My havi Allah." So what's halacha? So Amar Avunu Yeshua Chazina, we see ibal arisu. If the husband himself is an aris, which means he could do it himself, right? So therefore, the istalek lebal istalek lu. So since the bal was mistalek, right, from any zechut in the shevach of the field, so also the arisim that went down, they don't take anything because they are talui in the husband. So therefore, they cannot ask from the woman nothing because it's not Yored Shalom Reshut, right? Because it says, because she could tell them, listen, if you went out there, my husband would have done it. Right? You're doing the job instead of my husband. My husband should have done it. But let's say he's not on this, and therefore somebody, so the Ara Larisa comes, and then it's all to do with Arisim, and therefore they can actually come and also take their portion because it's like Yored L'Tok Sadeh Chavero B'Shalom B'Shu. Ask the Gemara, we're going to ask the following question now. Bal Shemachar Karka Leperot. Imagine right now the husband sold the land for perot, meaning you can't sell the land. Remember, who owns the land? The woman. But he sold the fruits of the land. No, meaning he sold the land for the fruits, which means the fruits are going to be for somebody else. So as long as obviously they're married, right? This person is going to come, right? And he's going to do it.
Like a lease land.
What? The Gemara is asking. You're already passing. What?
Like lease land.
What do you mean by like lease land?
You lease the property, they can do whatever they want, but the land would always
exactly. It's like a lease. It's like a lease or a rental, whatever you want to call it exactly. So Ma, what's halacha? Do we say? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Ma, what's halacha? Mi amrinan, do we say my dekani akni, which means do we say whatever the husband acquired so he could give to somebody else? Which means the husband acquired the fruits, because he has the perot, so he could acquire somebody else the fruits. Or Dilmar, maybe when did the rabbis institute that the husband gets perot? Pe'amubet, ADB. When does he get it? Mishum revach beita. Only in order that he should have it for revach of the house. Why? Because that way he comes and he has food. So that way he could actually give to the woman, which means that in ultimate, the woman's also benefiting from it. Even though the husband has the rights of the perot, but he's taking it home and the woman's benefiting. To sell it to somebody else? No, he doesn't have that right. So whatever he did, he did. He sold it, Kaddish. That's it, he sold it. It's a good sale. Papa says, no, he didn't do anything. So it's a machloket between Yehuda and Mishmed Rava and Rav Papa Amar Mishmed Rava, right? And Ronen, right? Shalos Avlukum. Amar Rav Papa says, Rav Papa, 1 second. Amar Rav Papa, it's not a contradiction. Nothing to do with this. Absolutely. Nothing to do with this. Nothing. Rav Papa says, had Yehuda Meimer, that would have Yehuda Meimer. It wasn't said mefurash. Ela miklala it was said like as a klal. There was a woman that she brought in, right, to a man 2 different shefachot for nisemelu, right? So she brought in 2 shefachot to marry. Yeah. Azal gavra nasivit tachrita. He went and he got married to another woman. So he went to the isha shniya, one of those. So imagine the first wife brought in 2 maidservants, and now he comes and takes one of those maidservants and he takes it for the second wife. So the first wife comes for Rabbi. She starts screaming, right? He didn't pay attention. She was screaming. He didn't pay attention. Right? He didn't pay attention. Right? Rava. So Man de Chaza, the one that saw this, Savar, Nishum this was he held, Masha Sasui. But it's not true. Nishum Revach Beta, Revach. At the end of the day, it was for the Archavat Bait, and therefore the husband cannot sell it to somebody else. But here, in the case of it is Nivach Yada. Why? Because then once there's shlita in the second woman, right? So it comes out that it's also being done in the tzorchei habayit, which means that in the first case, if the husband's going to sell it and then come and use the money for whatever it is, no, that he can't do. But here, the fact that the second wife is also going to take now one of the shepachot from the first wife, there's also a good thing. What? No, even a different. What is halacha? What is halacha? There's nothing. My tama, what's reasoning? Abaye says, says we're going to suspect that maybe he's going to ruin the karka, which means that if he's going to ruin the field, so afterwards she can't sell it anymore, but he just ruined the entire field. Rava comes and he says, Mishum revach beita, right? Because of the Chabad, right? Which means it's for her, which means that we wanted that it should be for her. So maybe know what's the difference between them. At the end of the day, right, whether it's going to become ruined or that she should gain from it, what's the difference? If you have a field which is close to the city, so since it's close to the city, we're not going to suspect that they're going to destroy the field. You could see it, right? Everyone could see it. Inami, or another answer, Bal Arisu. Right, so these are 2 nafkaminas. That if you hold that he's not going to destroy it, you could still sell it. If you hold it, no. The second answer is the husband's at Aris. If the husband's at Aris and he could have done it himself, so therefore we're not going to suspect for Kilukula Sadeh because the husband could work it on its own. Right? But we are going to suspect for Revach Beita. Inami, or you have a third nafkamina, Zuze v'kavi b'uiska. What happens is he takes money from it, and then he's going to do business with it. So in such a case, the chashash is shema tachsid, right? But it's not because of revach beita, but he is making revach beita. He's making money, but it's just that maybe they're going to destroy the field. Says a Mishnah on Pe'amud Bet. So Mishnah on 80b, shomeret yavam shenaflu la nechasim. If a shomeret yavam, there's going to be nechasim that are going to fall to her. Modim bet Shammai bet Hillel shemocher v'noten lekaymet. Shammai are going to agree to bet Hillel. She could sell, she could give, she could do whatever she wants, and it's going to be chayam, which means that she's waiting for yibum or chalitza. During this process of waiting for yibum or chalitza, she gets properties. She's allowed to sell it or to give it away a present. She can do whatever she wants. Meta, if she dies before the chalitza or the yibum, maya asu beketubata. What are they going to do with the ketubah? The or the properties which are going in and out, which is the nixemelu. But Shammai says yachloku yosheh baal im yosheh av. The husbands of the Baal and the husbands of the Av, they're going to divide it. That means both families are going to divide the Niksem Elug and everything. Bet Hillel says no. Nechasim becheskatan. The Niksetzon Barzel, they still saying the same chazakah that they were before. Okay, there's a whole machloket. What does that mean? Uktuba becheskat yosheh Baal, but the ketubah they go to the yoshim of the Baal of the husband. Nechasim yotzim imah, but the ones which are Niksem Elug, which they actually stay becheskat yosheh Av. There they go. in the chazakah of the Yoshei Arav of the father, of her father, because there's going to be a difference between, right, the Nichse Tzonu Barzel and Nichse Melug. Okay, so the Nichse Melug, she's actually going to take it out with her. Nichse Tzonu Barzel, they actually stay with him. What happens now if the brother of the Yavam, he left money? So you buy a property. Now the husband eats perot. If right now he left over fruits which are detached from the ground, you're going to take the karka, and you're going to purchase perot. If it's going to be connected to the land, Rabbi says, we're going to evaluate them. What is the value of the perot? What is the value of the field with fruits or without fruits? And the difference between that, you're going to purchase another field, and then he's going to dig the perot. Chachamim come and they argue and they say, perot mechubarim b'karka. We're talking about perot which are connected to the ground. Shelo, right? They belong to the yavam. So shimina karka, if it's detached from the ground, whoever's going to be zocheh, which means whether it's the yavama, the yavam, whoever's going to get it first, in kadam hu. If right now the chazakah of the yavam came before, right? So then zacha, so he gets it. Kamahi, but if her zechut came first, yilakach ben karka, you purchase a field, vehu ochel perot, and the yavam is only going to be eating perot, but the field is going to really belong to her. Kenasa, if right now he already got married to the yavama, right? That means he actually got married to the yavama, right? He was a yavam, he got married to the yavama. Harei ki ishto lechol davar. She's like his wife for everything. Bilvad sheteh ketubata nifse bala rishon. As long as the ketubah is going to be on the properties of the first husband, lo yomar, you cannot tell her that it's on the table. Your ketubah is on the table. But all the properties that he got from the brother are going to be achrayim for the ketubah. He cannot sell them or anything. Like, why? Because it's going to be lien, right? It's going to be a lien to the ketubah of the wife. A person can also not tell his regular wife, which means I don't have any properties for your ketubah. All the properties are always going to be on a lien for the ketubah. Meaning when a person gets married, by the way, it's written in the ketubah. It's written in the ketubah that everything, and some the Dr. Mizrahi even say, which means that even if I have like a jacket on my shoulder, like mamash, everything is subjugated towards a ketubah. The husband can never say, I don't have one. So you do have. You have there. No. Everything is leaned towards a ketubah. Girsha. What happens right now if the yavam divorces the yavama after yibum? En la ketubah, she only gets the ketubah. Hechsira, if you brought her back, so then she's like all the other women. En la ketubah bilvad, she only gets the first ketubah by itself. Okay, but not the nechasim. That's what we're talking about until now. Okay, says the Gemara. So we're going to ask the following question. Shomenet yavam shemeta, when we're talking about a shomenet yavam that she dies, mi kovra, who's going to bury her? Yoshea bal kavrila. Do we say it's going to be the inheritors of the husband? The kayarta ketubah, but they get the ketubah. Or dima Yoshea av kavrila. Or maybe you're going to come and you're going to tell me that it's the Yorshim of the father that's going to do the kayarta chasim and chasim tzimimah. But they get. That means basically, who now has to bury her? When the husband's alive, obviously the husband has to bury her. When the husband dies, now she's shomenet yavam. So now that she's shomenet yavam, who has to bury her? Her family, because they inherit the nechasim nechsev yotzim, or his family, the husband of the husband's family, they get the ketubah. So Rav Amram comes and says, "Tashema the Tanya was learned and right. Shomenet yavam shemeta, shomenet yavam dies. Yoshea ketubata. Whoever gets the ketubah, they are the ones that they have to do the kevura, which is the bar."